Okay, you're good to go.
So I think the question, hi Yolanda.
Back.
I think the question was, are there any um, online groups? And I don't know of any personally. I know that maybe working with certain therapists, they might recommend their own. And maybe schools can create their own just as a safe space for those people. I'm not a fan of public online things like that. I think they're dangerous, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I do want to put a plug in for our Access Collaborative program for any students at Ohio State. While it's not, there are not a lot of Latinas who are involved with that group, it is a very, very inclusive group, I think, to its core. And that's a terrific and supportive community. There are some groups and ways to connect with other Latinx students, but I would say that for students at Ohio State, the um, the the community here is very, very small. We have a very, very small group of Latinx students altogether. And I think the barriers or the bar to entry is so high that there's just not a substantial number. So if there are any Latinas who are parenting at Ohio State, I do encourage you to connect with our Access Collaborative group. That's a great place to connect with other mothers.
Okay, I am back in action after this Wi-Fi has crashed on me. Thank you for continuing. I could hear you on my phone. It just wasn't happening. So I want to get one more question in as some folks are hopping back and rejoining us. I appreciate you all for doing so. Did you guys talk about the idea of online peer groups or resources for Latina student mothers or Latinx students in general?
That's what we just.
Perfect. Okay. Did you guys discuss the idea of one support or one idea that a current parenting student program could implement to better support Latina student mothers?
I'm sorry, Jillian.
It's okay. I asked, what is one program or one idea that a current parenting student program could implement to better support Latina student mothers?
So from my perspective, mentorship, 100%. There is something about sisterhood or hermandad that when you can share your fear of, I may not finish, and somebody else says to you, oh, you're gonna finish, Julian. You're gonna finish, we're gonna help. There's something about that when people understand your struggle and they don't judge you for it, and they understand that, listen, you might not see it right now, but the outcome is magnificent. Just hold on with me. And you have somebody there that says, I trust you. Let me know how I can help. That mentorship, that help, I think it's invaluable. Yolanda?
Yes, I have to concur, but I would say for a place like Ohio State, we're not serving the students because they simply are not here. So the mentorship needs to be happening before. Um, for young mothers who are parenting or pregnant, they're going to be discouraged from even considering school. I, I'll tell you, this is real. So my family we didn't immigrate here. We've been here for many generations before it was, when Texas was still Mexico. So it wasn't a matter of becoming American. But in my generation, I was prohibited from coming to school. I had a full scholarship and my parents said no. So I think if a Latina is pregnant or has a child, there will be very, very few people in her life encouraging her to pursue an education. So mentorship is absolutely critical. And it needs to be not only mentorship with the student, but also outreach to the families, to the parents. So building relations of trust with the families so that they can understand that this is not a bad thing, that it's not a harmful thing if a young mother wants to pursue an education. And if they know that there is a community of support and this is part of the expectations, that their culture and values will be respected, that's all very reassuring and that can help.
And it might be, advantageous to consider mentorship in the way that it's like we're connecting a Latina student mother with another Latina student mother as a mentor,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
the culture ideas that we just have all talked about are really important and are hard for someone else who's not in that same shoes to understand.
They need to see it, and they need to be able to ask the very real questions. What is it like for you? And so I think one thing that we can do at Ohio State, an opportunity, and it might be different in different regions of the country, is I think Ohio State has very limited relationships with Latinx community bases in Columbus. So we're not really present in the schools. We're not really present in the community groups. And there are some very active groups that are doing mentorship for Latina middle school and high school girls. And the university is just not connected. And we just need more. I think we need more staff here, more folks who are sort of embedded in the community, who can be those bridges and serve as those gateways. Because I think we've got a terrific program. We've got all the tools. We've got great resources and models to support those young women, but we need to get connected to the communities.
Okay, so Carolyn, I saw you answered one of these questions in the chat, but I want you to kind of expand on it. So,
Okay.
Let's see.
So-
Marissa asked about how to support through an asset-based perspective.
So I'm assuming, and I don't know all these terms, but please forgive me and correct me if I'm right. I'm thinking asset-based is strength perspective. I'm thinking that that's where she's going with that. And there, just like Alice Walker really pushed the womanist, there is a Latina version of that called mujerista, right? The mujerista looks at where the woman falls in the economy, social justice, that strength perspective, the things that are frowned upon in the Latina community, being a woman, the mujerista perspective uplifts it and pushes it forward. And using that kind of lens would speak to that asset-based theory.
Perfect. Okay, and I know, Yolanda, you just added your email. Gloria is basically asking, what if we created some type of mentorship network between campuses, and how might that look? And I'm wondering if that would look more like a Latina or Latinx based mentorship that might have some component of parenting students, but is a little, broader sweeping, such that it could actually expand nationally.
I think that's actually a fabulous idea, and I got very excited because increasingly what we're seeing is that our regional campuses are the doors of entry to Ohio State for groups that face barriers, for race and ethnic groups, parenting students, et cetera. And I think that at our regional campuses, we have parenting students who would benefit very much from the expertise and the models and the programs that we have here. But there's this geographic distance. Well, we've learned with COVID that this distance is not a barrier. So I did look into some grant opportunities to see about supporting Latinx students at the regional campuses. But I think I know that there was response to serving parenting students from some of our colleagues at the regional campuses. So I think exploring these two notions and trying to bring them together and leverage those broader populations, that's a really great thing. So Gloria, if we can follow up after this and do some brainstorming, I think that would be wonderful. I'm all in.
Beautiful. I think it's a great idea too. And I think it could serve a lot of purposes that we've all kind of talked about here today.
Especially the region, the residential, because for those who being at a regional campus enables them to be closer to home for the first, while they start college. We could do this in a two-step, and that can help the families also better understand and support the student instead of that shock of moving away altogether.
Right. Which gotta get to the quinceañeras and every other event in between there, because I don't want those nicknames.
No, you in trouble. You in trouble. They will find you. They will find you. Put your locator on.
Yeah, I don't want the nicknames that might come with missing those events. So at this point, we are hitting about the 5-minute mark. Is there any kind of last comments you both want to make before we start to wrap up?
Well, I would just like to say, I don't know your participation here, how many folks are here in Ohio, but I have to say, I was shocked in preparing to come here. I looked at the data, and I was really shocked to see how many teen mothers, for example, Latina teen mothers, just in Franklin County alone in 1 year, there were well over 300. And so these programs, learning how to support, encourage, mentor, and promote the success of parenting students is absolutely critical for all of us. I mean, for the entire health of our state. If we don't capture this population and learn how to serve them, and we know for a fact that if we just tell students they need to adapt to the predominant culture that we have here, the ways that we support students, it's not going to work. So my thanks to Access Collaborative for all of your leadership and your work. My thanks to Jillian and to Naomi and other students who've been really outspoken leaders in helping us re-examine who we are as a university so that we can be more friendly and more supportive. I know we have a long way to go. The question of housing didn't come up, but I think I have seen it here before. That's an issue that we've got to tackle, because we really need to make our universities more accessible, because this is our population. It's not even our population of tomorrow, it's our population of today.
Yeah. And honestly, it's important to consider the housing, the childcare, and all those when we talk about the hierarchy of needs for our students.
Absolutely.
But I want to be really clear, what you guys have talked about today, this goes in that first layer of those hierarchy of needs. And I think that's different for most cultures, because some cultures would see everything else that you guys have discussed as very nuancy and like, something that's not essential to their existence and being.
Mhm.
And what you presented today is it's essential
Mhm.
to the health of that family,
Absolutely.
which has to be supported. And I mean, we all have a long way to go. And Yolanda, we have folks here from Hawaii, which is so cool.
Oh, that's so fun.
Fantastic.
Our group is pretty diverse here, so it's cool to see how it spreads, and hopefully this sparks some conversations amongst others, because I know like those in California have a truly different experience with this, and
It's true.
because that's a little different space out west and here on the Midwest or East.
And then those on the East Coast, whole different world.
Whole different world.
Very true.
So with that, I just want to say thank you. Thank you first for bearing with all these technical changes that was happening, and popping back on and keeping this conversation going. I'm going to share my screen real fast just to get some last minute information out. I do want to share both of your emails here in case they didn't grab them earlier.
Yeah, I see that some people wanted the presentation.
Yes.
So I will absolutely send it out.
Okay.
I ask that, you don't share it widely, because I'm going to use the template for my dissertation. So please.
If you guys want, I know that some of the people requested, I can send it to those who requested.
Yeah, because I'm going to use the template. So maybe Jillian, before you send it, just so they can't be done to replicate it or whatever.
Yeah, but the
If you could do that,
Yep.
that would be great.
I got you.
So yeah, my email is there. And,
Email's here. Yolanda's email's here.
And it's an honor. Anytime you guys invite me, what you're doing is amazing, and it's intergenerational. Like everything you do now, it has a footprint. It has a footprint. So it is my honor whenever I could come through and present whatever I'm studying. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you both for adding to this content, because hopefully at some point I'll create a nice little YouTube channel with all of this, very centralized parenting student content that can now exist outside of our illustrious symposium that happens every year. So creating this national database of parenting student content is really important. And this was an important conversation to have. So thank you, ladies, for joining me. Next time we'll be here will be January. We'll not see you all in December. And that will be on January 27th. It's not on here, but it'll be on January 27th at 1 p.m. That registration link will be included in the follow-up email that you get from us here. If you would like to lead a discussion for us, either in a community chat or in an upcoming workshop for the symposium, Those links will be available soon, and you could always submit a proposal for community chats. All of our videos from these community chats are available on our website. Feel free to check those out. And if there are no other questions or comments, I appreciate you all commenting in the chat. I saw the chat where someone's like, I'm the graduate, a first gen grad of a parenting student. I appreciate you being here. I see you. Thank you for being here, because you are a testament to, what many of our kids will look like as a parenting student. So it's beautiful to know that your parents' experiences had an impact on you later in life.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Have a great holiday. Enjoy the rest of 2020. Hopefully it's much better than my Wi-Fi. I will
Great
see you
job.
all next time. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a
Bye-bye.
great day.
You too.